Hello and welcome back to part 2 of my 500 subscriber Q&A video. This will be the final video. I think that it should be around the same length, around 20 minutes. Maybe a little under, we'll see. But just getting right into it, the next question is from Music Room. A big congratulations to you. I can't say that I am surprised, but it has certainly brought a smile to my face. I will follow up with the question for your Q&A once I have a chance to think about it. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much. And then in a response to that comment, he put a question. When reading fiction, do you find that you're most drawn to books with a protagonist whom you relate to and is very much like yourself? Or do you prefer to read about very different types of people / characters than yourself? Bonus question, along the same lines, what character from fiction, classic or contemporary, have you come across which is most like you? To answer the first question, when reading fiction, I actually really enjoy reading about protagonists or characters who are dissimilar to myself, because I feel that it helps me to gain fresh perspectives on life. Sort of to be able to see a situation and then read a character who is very different than myself and read how they approach it and how they deal with it and sort of the way that they navigate the world around them. I find it really interesting. I do enjoy reading about characters who I can very well relate to when they're similar, but I think I enjoy it the most when it's sort of looking in on someone's life who is completely different than I am, and that I have really no shared experience, because it's like getting a fresh view of something that I've never been able to experience before, and I think that's really interesting. And for the second question, what's a character from fiction that I have come across that is most like myself? I would say that honestly, so far I haven't come across any particular character that their entire character adheres to myself completely. But I have had a couple that I sort of see myself in occasionally. The most recent character that I really saw some aspects of my personality and some aspects of myself portrayed in was Jude from Thomas Hardy's Jude the Obscure, which I did a couple of videos talking about at the beginning of my channel. It's an incredibly beautiful novel. It's a heartbreaking novel, but it's incredibly beautiful. And Jude, the title character in that novel, holds quite a few similarities to myself and to my own personality. The next question is from Sheldon Wong. Congratulations, Micah. I have 2 questions. What do you do to stay fit? And if you could take any fictional character out on a date, who would it be? Excited to see more growth on your channel. Thank you so much, Sheldon. I really appreciate it. To answer your first question, what do I do to stay fit? I really appreciate that. I don't know if I am staying fit. I'm doing my best. I have a workout routine that I do with my dad. Actually, we're workout partners. We work out 3 times a week, primarily doing a lot of lifting, so bench press, deadlift, front squats, that kind of a thing. Typically it's about 45 minutes to an hour, 3 mornings a week. And then also I walk every day, and I try to eat well. I don't always succeed in that department, but I do walk every day, and then 3 times a week work out. And for your second, to answer the second question, if I could take any fictional character out on a date, who would it be? And I'm not really sure, so I may just have to say, Jane from Jane Eyre. I think it would be maybe not even a date in like in a relationship sense, but more a date as in just a dinner to talk to a fictional character. I would really like to talk with her. She is an incredible character. I really haven't read any character that has been quite the same as when I read through Jane Eyre. I was really blown away. The next question is from Jolene over at Bookworm Adventure Girl. She says, yay, congratulations, Micah. Thank you so much. And then she asks, favorite dessert, and who is the last new to you author that has become a favorite? All right, so let's see. So favorite dessert. honestly, I'm not a huge dessert fan, so I like really simple things. My family, one of our favorite desserts that we make a lot is a chocolate chip zucchini cake, which can sound weird, but really it's just a really simple, very delicate, moist chocolate cake that is amazing. But it's not very rich, it's very subtle, it's light, and it's probably my favorite dessert. But also I really like lemon bars, especially in the winter. In the holiday season, lemon bars are great. And any type of cookie, chocolate chip cookie or cranberry oatmeal cookie, something light. I'm not a big fan of really overly sweet things, and so I like more savory desserts, more salty and caramel chocolate, all that kind of stuff mixed together instead of just incredibly sweet things. I hope that even made sense. And to answer your her second question, who is the last new to me author that has become a new favorite? And for me, I think that would be Helen Rappaport. I've talked about her a little bit on my channel in a couple of previous videos, but really this year is the first year that I've started reading a lot of her books, and I bought all of her books, and I've been reading them this year and absolutely loving them. The last book by her that I read was The Last Days of the Romanovs, which I read 2 days ago. I read it on Saturday. Absolutely fantastic. I'm planning on talking about it a little bit more in the future, and so I won't talk about it here, but I think Helen Rappaport would be the newest new to me author that has become a favorite. The next question is from Dejection Cat Reads. Congratulations on this milestone. Well done. Thank you so much. My question, have you got a pet? If not, would you like to? / which one would you like to have? So I do not have a pet currently. I think that at some point I would like to have a pet. Right now, probably not. I live at home. My mom is allergic to cats and dogs. My dad is not really interested in having a pet. I don't think I really have a want at this point to be taking care of an animal. But in the future, I definitely could see myself having a pet. I could see myself having a cat. I think I'm more of a cat person than a dog person. And that's just because I feel like a cat is maybe a little bit better to not have to be pampered all the time. But maybe that's not true. Maybe that's just an ignorant assumption. But yeah, I could see myself having a cat in the future. The next question is from Honoring America, who says, "Hey Micah, great video. I'm super glad to see you pass 500 subs. My question is pretty basic, but if you had to choose, what would you say is your favorite book you have ever read?" So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Oh man. Again, really, really hard question. Best, or my favorite book that I have ever read. I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure if I can even answer that. I think the favorite novel that I have read this year for the first time would be Pride and Prejudice. So I'm going to change this question and say the favorite book that I have read for this year, novel, would be Pride and Prejudice. I hadn't read it before. For some reason, it's taken me this long. I read it this year. Absolutely loved it. It was fantastic. It certainly lived up to its popularity in my view, and was incredibly good. And I can't believe it took me this long to get to it. So I hope that the edit to your question is okay. I don't think I could name a favorite book that I have read of all time. I think there's too many that could take that slot. The next question is from Kelly at Kelly Reads a Lot, and she says, "Congratulations, so well deserved." Thank you so much, Kelly. How do you decide the priority of your TBR? How do you pick what you read first? So I have a couple of different ways of how I decide what to read first off of my TBR. And the first thing really is I don't have a super strict TBR. I have I have a want to read shelf on my Goodreads page that I put tons and tons of books over into. I think it currently has maybe over 1,000 to be read books. So anytime I'm on Goodreads and I see something that looks interesting, I always pop it over onto my want to read bookshelf. And then I also have sort of a physical TBR list that I write down of books that I want to read. And so usually the way that I pick is honestly just by what looks the most interesting. I tend to leave my structuring very loose so that anytime I come across a new book that looks interesting, I can fit it into my TBR. So right now, the way that I am sort of picking the priority of my TBR is I'm still reading a lot of Imperial Russian history. And so I have a stack of maybe 3 or 4 books that I haven't read that I own on that subject. And so when it comes time to pick a new one, I really just sort of look at my options and pick which one looks the most appealing and sit down and start reading it. I don't really have any particular strategy of how I decide what I'm going to read next. Sometimes it's sort of chosen for me if I am doing a buddy read with someone, or if there is a particular booktube event that I want to participate in. That will sort of sometimes determine what I'm going to read next. But typically, it's really just a decision of what looks interesting. I don't want to say I'm a mood reader because once I pick a book, I do stick with it until I'm done with it. Even if sort of my mood changes, I stick with it. But I'm almost a mood selector, if that makes sense. I select a book based off of what looks interesting at the moment, and then I read it completely, and then I move on to something else. So I hope that made sense. I hope that answered your question, Kelly. And thank you so much. The next question is from Jim, from Jim's Books, Reading, and Stuff. And Jim says, congratulations on passing 500. You should now have access to the community tab. What is your favorite science fiction book or short story? Thank you so much, Jim. And yes, I do. I finally got access to the community post tab. And I was super excited to get that because I think it's such a cool way of sort of having another medium of a way to post things if I don't have time for a video. I posted a poll the other day of asking questions about certain videos that people wanted to see, just to sort of experiment with trying the community tab. And let's see what his question is. What is your favorite science fiction book or short story? So my favorite science fiction book so far, and I have not read a lot in this genre, so I don't have a ton of material under my belt. But as of right now, my favorite would be Ursula K. Le Guin's The Left Hand of Darkness for my favorite science fiction book. And then my favorite science fiction short story would be E.M. Forster's The Machine Stops, is what I believe the title is. And I read it for the first time this summer and absolutely loved it. I had no clue that it was an E.M. Forster story. I knew about the story, I'd heard about it before, and then I had purchased a E.M. Forster short story collection, and I saw it on the table of contents, and I did not realize that it was an E.M. Forster story. I read it, and I absolutely loved it. It was so creative, so interesting, and so that would be my answer for favorite short story. The next question is from Michael at Michael Romeo Talks Books. He says, congratulations, this is an impressive achievement. Thank you so much, Michael. My question for your Q&A, to what do you attribute your steady and quick success on YouTube? That I am not sure. I think one of the big things that helped my channel was MJ over at Reading This Life gave me a shout out in one of her early episodes of her Support Small Booktube series that she has going on her channel, which is an absolutely incredible series that she has going. She posts a new episode every Sunday, I believe, and I think, if I'm not wrong, she is up to episode 30. I think yesterday was episode 30. So if you have not checked out MJ's channel at Reading This Life, please do so for her supporting small booktube series, which is phenomenal. So I got a shout out on that pretty early on, I think a couple weeks into having my channel, which really helped me to gain sort of my base footing audience. And then I don't really know what the others what the other growth can be attributed to, other than maybe just steady posting. I posted multiple times a week, and so all I can think is that maybe just through the amount of posting and sort of reaching out, putting more videos out there for the algorithm to work with possibly might be the answer to that. But I'm really not sure. I'm really not sure what it's attributed to. I feel incredibly lucky and I am incredibly grateful to everyone for watching my videos. So thank you all so much. The next question is from 7 Days at Sea. Congratulations. What's a nonfiction topic you haven't featured on your channel yet that you want to get around to reading about? So this is a great timing for this question, because I've actually started working on preparing some new material for my channel. I have recently been really getting into studying Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, their marriage and their sort of political partnership. I find it incredibly interesting. And so I showed a couple books on a weekend reading wrap-up video that I did that I had been reading, as well as I think on sort of a what I want to read video. And so I've been reading a lot about Queen Victoria and Prince Albert and Victorian England in general. And so I think I'm going to start doing some videos more going down sort of that rabbit hole as well, because that's a new interest in my nonfiction reading lately that has really sort of taken a vast majority of my reading time by storm, just because I find it so fascinating. The next question is from Koala Karakuki, who says, congratulations, Micah. That is awesome. Thank you so much. I know as an avid reader, it is extremely hard to have a favorite book of all time, and I don't remember if you answered that before, but what are your go-to recommendations if someone asks you for your favorite or for a good recommendation? If someone asked me to recommend a fiction book, a classic, some of my favorite classics to recommend are, I'm looking over, I'm pivoting here because I'm looking over at my my Penguin Classics shelf to sort of try to piece together a good answer for this, because I mentioned I think I answered in an earlier question, I don't really find myself giving a whole lot of recommendations. People don't really ask me a lot for recommendations in my real life interactions. I get asked questions about recommendations on Goodreads sometimes from friends on there or here on BookTube. But I really don't find myself giving out a lot of recommendations. I would say that some of my favorite novels that I would recommend would be all of Jane Austen's work. I would recommend Thomas Hardy. I love Thomas Hardy, and I would recommend short stories of Chekhov to people. I find myself reading a lot of Chekhov's short stories and really enjoying them. E.M. Forster is another that I would recommend to people. I would recommend Howard's End, A Room with a View, Where Angels Fear to Tread. I absolutely love E.M. Forster. But I don't give a whole lot of recommendations, and so I feel bad that I don't have a decent answer to that question. But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. The next question is from Stan. My question is, who is your favorite Victorian author, and what is your least favorite work from them? I think my favorite Victorian author, at least right now, would be Thomas Hardy. I have not read all of his work yet, though, and so I have, I think, 3 novels left until I've read all of Thomas Hardy's work. My favorite so far for Thomas Hardy is hands down Jude the Obscure. And I think my least favorite Thomas Hardy novels so far would be The Return of the Native. And when I say my least favorite, all of the Thomas Hardy novels that I have read so far have all been 5 stars. And so just because of the nature of the question, I loved them all. But out of them all, I think I loved Jude the Obscure the most, and I loved The Return of the Native the least, while still really loving it, if that makes sense. So sort of comparing those 3 novels together, my least favorite of them, even though they are all favorites, would be The Return of the Native, if that makes sense. And I think it's just because I wasn't focused enough when I was reading it. I was listening to it and reading it. I had it going on audiobook when I was at work, and then reading it in the book when I was home at night. And I think that there was sort of a disconnect there, where I was finding myself having trouble connecting the entire narrative together. And so it was sort of a clunky reading experience. And that's nothing to do with the novel. That's all the fault is my own for that. And so I am hoping to reread it again in the future, give it a proper reading, and I'm sure then I will love it equally as much as the other 2. The next question is from Jane. Jane says, "Congratulations, Micah. I'm a new subscriber from this morning. My question is, have you traveled anywhere that was inspired by your reading and or a specific book?" I have not traveled anywhere specifically inspired by a book that I have read. I would absolutely love to, however. I would love to go to Europe. I would love to go to the English countryside and sort of see the setting for a lot of Thomas Hardy's novels, see the setting for a lot of Jane Austen novels, all of the Victorian classics that I love, all of the Edwardian period that I really enjoy. I would love to see the landscapes that Thomas Hardy describes in his novels in person. I think that would be absolutely breathtaking. The next question is from Steve Donahue. He says, "Congratulations, here are my questions," and he has 3 questions. The first, what's your favorite literary adaptation so far, big screen or small? I think my one of my favorite books to movie adaptations is for Sense and Sensibility, and that's the 1995 movie version with Emma Thompson, Hugh Grant, and I'm trying to remember. Oh man, who plays Marianne? I can't remember. It's Kate Winslet. There we go. That's probably my favorite book to movie adaptation. I've seen it so many times. It's actually one of my favorite movies as well. Question number 2 is, you've mentioned that your family are also readers, but what about coworkers? Do any of them find it strange that reading is such a big part of your life? So actually, I only work with one other person, and I talk about my reading. I don't talk about my reading very much, and so really, other than my family, not a lot of people in real life really even know, unless they know me very well and personally, that I am a big reader. And so I don't really ever have any people ever thinking it's strange that I read so much or anything like that. I really don't talk about it a whole lot because I don't often have great response when I do bring it up. A lot of times it's sort of just like a blank stare. People just don't really read that much anymore, which is too bad. His next question, his last question is it's a classic Steve question. Who's the only booktuber who isn't a loser? Steve stares angrily at the screen. Well, Steve, I can't answer that. I can't call anyone on BookTube a loser. Everyone on BookTube is fantastic. So everyone is the only booktuber who isn't a loser. Come on. Let's see. Oh, perfect. And that was the last question. We're close to 25 minutes here. So that works out well then. So that's the end of my 500 subscriber Q&A. Thank you so much for sending in such fantastic questions. And again, thank you so much for this milestone on my channel. I am incredibly grateful, and I can't believe that there are 500 people who want to see my videos. That is incredibly meaningful to me, and I appreciate it so much, and I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to leave any comments down below if you would like, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.